welcome to your reading. If you are new to this channel, welcome, and if you are a subscriber, welcome back. So this is going to be the forecast for the new moon in Leo, and this happens on the 19th of August. So as I say, things are a little bit out of sync as far as the lunar and the solar cycles are concerned. So that may explain why a lot of us feel a little bit topsy-turvy at the moment, aside from all the turbulence that we had during the first half of August. But the good news is that that is probably going to settle during the second half. We've got some we've got those Mars squares and things out of the way. We've got the oppositions of Mercury also out the way, and we're moving into much more harmonious energy, so that's good news. But anyway, let's get into a reading and find out what wants to come out, Aquarius. I have had a piece of this is a piece of copper, sort of raw copper, sitting on the cards, because I'm trying to sort of attract abundance, messages of abundance. I think everyone at this time could do with some some messages of abundance and hope, and that's going to be my main focus. But I think that this new moon on the whole is going to be a lot more auspicious than some of the other lunar cycles that we've had recently, particularly that lunar eclipse that we had in Capricorn, which was quite heavy, and then the new moon in your sign, I think, was also a little bit tricky with all that those oppositions and squares that happened in the week that followed. So heads up, fingers crossed, we've got some good energy coming through. The other thing to say, of course, is that I have redesigned my cards, so they are currently at the printers, and I'm hoping that by the time we come to the next reading that I do for you guys, that I'll have new cards that will be a lot clearer to read. So I'll let you know, when that's kind of when I will have those for sale with the ebook. And thanks too for your support and for all your likes, subscribes, and shares. I really appreciate all the support that the channel is getting, so thank you again. Okay, I think that's probably well shuffled. Let's cut the cards, see what wants to come out. Whoops. Ooh. Wow, so this is fabulous, Aquarius. You're beginning your reading with Acquisitio. This is really positive energy. It's very expansive. Generally speaking, I like to think of it as being what you reap, so you gain. And Acquisitio is all about gain. It's literally acquisition. So this is Jupiter in Sagittarius energy. It's fire energy, very expansive, positive. It's all about gain and basically reaping the rewards of past efforts, good karma, and so on and so on. So that's the energy that you're kind of coming in with at this particular new moon. So that's fabulous. Then when it comes to home and family, things are looking really quite harmonious. We've got Puella here, which is literally girl, and this is all about Venusian energy. This is Venus in Libra, so it's about harmony. It's about getting on well with relatives and family. It's about having a beautiful home. So I think if you haven't already, maybe you're thinking about redecorating, maybe adding a few fixtures and finishes that will make the place feel more, if not luxurious, then certainly more symmetrical, because we know that Libra does like a bit of balance and symmetry. So all things, things are kind of looking good so far when it comes to the reading. Okay, so ups and downs. So this is where the new moon is going to fall, actually, in your 7th house. And here we've got Venus in her earth sign of Taurus. So this is a missio. Now, missio, generally speaking, is about loss. It's also about transience. So it seems as though things are shifting when it comes to one-to-one relationships. It could be that a certain cycle is ending, when it comes to partnerships, particularly if you have left a partnership behind and you're wanting something new. I kind of feel as though this energy is all about kind of shifts and realizing that maybe certain things have to change, or perhaps you have to let go of certain things in order for relationships to improve. Now, it could also be missing somebody. This could be a breakup, but not always. It's also sometimes about what is kind of unattainable or out of reach. So sometimes there can be that feeling of, oh, am I ever going to meet anyone, you know, that's going to last, that's going to be worthy of a long-term commitment, all those kind of questions. But I can't really say more until I see the rest of the reading. So let's just continue to see what comes out. Okay, interesting. So you may actually have Leo placements, because a couple of these geomantic figures came out with a Leo reading too. So maybe check that if you've got Leo rising or vice versa. So in your career sector, we've got Puer, which is Mars in Aries. So this is Martian energy, and it can kind of manifest in one of two ways. It can either be about kind of new beginnings, momentum, progress, forward movement, or it can be about conflict and sort of butting heads with people, you know, kind of ego stuff. And it's here in your 10th house, which is career and your future goals, success, fame, all that kind of stuff. So it can either be about, for example, a spat with somebody, you know, if you're a public figure, maybe it's a spat with somebody in the public domain, or on the other hand, it can be a fresh new start when it comes to a career. Momentum building, certainly. But I'm not going to say more until I do the conversion. So I'm just going to pause when I do those quickly, and then we can get more in depth into your reading. Welcome back, guys. So as you can see, I've done all the conversions, so we can get into reading in more depth now. So let's start with the new moon itself. Now this is going to be taking place in your 7th house. So this is very much going to put the focus on relationships over the next 2 weeks, particularly one-to-one relationships that are significant. So it could be a business partnership, it could also be a significant romantic relationships, or, you know, a significant friendship. But just, you know, it's one-to-one relationships that either involve a contract or a commitment of some kind, or that are kind of long-standing. So it could also be, you know, a really good friend, for example. But I think this came up last time in your reading, when we had the full moon in Aquarius. So I sort of feel as though this is energy that is kind of leaving. And so it could be that you are kind of still getting over a breakup or some kind of disappointment that involved a significant other, or it could possibly be something to do with feeling that something is unattainable or just out of reach. So if you're single, for example, perhaps you kind of think, oh my God, I'm never going to meet the one. You know, all the people that I've met so far have been such a disappointment, or they've, you know, there's been commitment issues, etc., etc., etc. And I think the key is not to sort of allow yourself to go into that energy too much, but to stay in this buoyant, upbeat energy that you've obviously been cultivating since our last reading. And look, we've got it echoed again here in your 3rd house, which is the house of kind of your mentality or your attitude. So Acquisitio is really, really positive energy. It's, you know, it's kind of expansive, can-do, upbeat, optimistic, that really kind of lovely, bouncy, Tigger-like energy that you get from Jupiter and Sagittarius. So I think, you know, definitely keep the vibes high, because it looks like some good things are coming, judging by the outcome of your reading, which moves from kind of negatives to positives. So we see this chemical transmutation taking place, and then sort of ending with Fortuna Minor, which is all about help and protection, support from others, fortunate circumstances, positive shifts. So definitely I kind of feel that by the time we finish with this particular waxing moon cycle, you're going to be in a much more positive place than you were over the last 2 cycles, which were quite tricky. I think they were quite difficult, that full moon in Capricorn and then the full moon in Aquarius. They were quite tricky, you know, in terms of cosmic energy, because of all the negative aspects that we had. However, the second half of August is going to be a lot easier than the first half, so that's the good news, the silver lining. And I think we see it in your reading. So this house is going to be filled with the sun, the moon, and with Mercury at this particular new moon, because the 3 will be making a conjunction to each other. So this is going to give the new moon a feeling of kind of like snap, crackle, pop. You know, there's going to be a little bit of movement, a little bit of dynamism to what happens now. So I really don't feel that this energy is going to stick around. I think that, you know, you're going to find that new people are going to start to come in. And this is confirmed by the astrology, because these 3 planets will be making trines to the north and the south node, which will be here in your 11th and your 5th house. So This is where new people are likely to come in, because it is the north node, so it's about beginnings, and this is the south node, so it's about kind of culminations or the end of karmic contracts. And this fifth house is, of course, the house of lovers. It's the house of children. It's the house of new relationships. It's the house of creative collaborations. So lots of good things. It's also the house of holidays. So if you haven't had one in a while, you know, definitely something to look forward to there. But it's upbeat, positive energy. It's all about joy. It's about passion. It's about creativity. So it's all those lovely feel-good Leo-like qualities. And of course, we are still in Leo season. So that's really positive. And then on the other side here, in the 11th house, the house of Sagittarius, which is the house of friendships as well as social groups and professional associations. We've got Puer. Now Puer is Mars, so this is Mars in Aries, and this can work in one of two ways. It can either be about conflict and kind of sort of bumping heads with people, or it can be about asserting yourself and asserting your needs. So, you know, if certain friendships have been a little bit disappointing, there's certainly the opportunity to be more assertive. However, we do have Puer here in your 10th house, so I suspect that this may have more to do with professional associations than it does to do with kind of personal, you know, with friendships and group dynamics, because the 10th house is about bosses. It's about those people that are important for the development of our careers. So there can be mentors, it can be our network, our professional network, and of course that can extend to the 11th house here. So that energy could be about a new beginning. So that is potentially good news. And if we think about the movements of Mars in relation to this particular new moon, Mars will actually be making some very, very positive aspects to the Sun and Moon in Leo. Mars in Aries is here in your 3rd house. So again, I think it's emphasizing this idea of positive shifts when it comes to communication and your outlook. But it can also pertain to short journeys, because the 3rd house is the house of short journeys and of your neighborhood, your kind of immediate environment. So it's possible that you may be going on a trip of some kind, maybe, you know, a short break of some kind. But there's definitely movement happening, you know, in your 3rd house and in your 5th house. This could also be a new, if you're deciding to buy a new car, for example, or maybe fix your, you know, your existing one, because the 3rd house does also rule transportation or our commute. So yes, definitely improvements in all of those areas during the next 2 weeks. The other aspect that the new moon is going to make is an aspect to Chiron. Chiron is also in Aries, but it's in the early degrees of Aries, and it's sitting near to the Earth. So it's kind of in the sphere, but it's almost between the 2nd and the 3rd houses. And Chiron is retrograde at the moment, which means that the emphasis is on past wounds, past traumas, that now are kind of coming up for healing. There's always the opportunity with Chiron to turn pain into power. So that's something to bear in mind during this particular phase. The other thing to say is that Mars itself will be conjunct Black Moon Lilith. So I do feel as though any wounds that are likely to come up now for healing probably have something to do with the kind of shadow aspects of ourselves that we tend to project onto other people, and that may be why we've got a Missio here. It's where we have blind spots essentially, and where we can be a little bit immature, or where we need to grow. So if you think that Chiron generally speaks to the part of us that's still about 12 or 13 years old, that may well pertain to whatever this Missio is here in your 7th house. You know, just something to sort of think about in terms of what other people might be triggering in you that needs to be transmuted. But generally speaking, though, I do feel as though things are looking up when it comes to family, and of course they are the biggest triggers. So that's really good, because we've got Puella here in your 12th house, and that tells me that you really are looking for harmony, you're looking for compromise, you're looking for ways to repair relationships and for things to kind of flow smoothly, particularly when it comes to home and family. So again, I think feeding into this wonderful acquisitio energy that we've got here. So those are kind of the main hallmarks of the new moon energy. The other aspects that are going to be active just before and after this particular new moon phase are going to be a wonderful sextile between Venus in Cancer, which is here in your 6th house, and your ruler Uranus in Taurus, which sits in your 4th house. So Uranus here I think is bringing about positive change when it comes to home and family, and Venus is kind of all about shifts, positive shifts happening in relation to work and your work environment, as well as pets and health. So interesting that we've got Capricornus here. This is new cycle starting, new beginnings. So you could be starting a new job, maybe you're starting a new exercise or diet regimen. You might get a new pet. But if so, it all kind of bodes well with Venus being here. It's definitely that lovely cuddly energy. You know, Venus in Cancer is very cuddly, kind of snuggly, comforting kind of energy. So that's nice to have in your 6th house of everyday habits and sort of your home environment and your work environment. Of course, not so great if we're talking about health, because there we don't just slip into sort of comfort eating, which is always a possibility where Cancer is concerned. So that's just something to bear in mind. But I do think with this wonderful sextile aspect between Uranus here in your 4th and the 6th house, that there are positive changes coming. It could be, for example, that you are working more from home, and that this has had a positive or will have a positive impact on your lifestyle, perhaps giving you more time, you know, to eat better, to fit in those exercise regimes, those sort of after work walks, but definitely you know, a healthier, more positive shift happening there. And then just before this particular new moon, we've got a trine between Mercury and Mars. So it's emphasizing essentially the energy, the positive energy that's happening between the new moon, the luminaries here, and with Mercury, and then Mars here in your 3rd house. So I think this is overall, I think, going to be an emphasis on relationships and communication with others, and about a shift in mindset, which I think started with that full moon. You started to realize what you needed to let go of in terms of limiting beliefs and kind of long-term mental habits, and I think now you are really focusing on flipping those negatives into positives and really introducing, where you've kind of cleared energy out, you're now working on introducing new, better, healthier habits that are going to, you know, leave you in a much happier place. Now, if this does concern a work partnership of some kind, of business partnership, we do have conjuncture here in your 8th house of joint ventures and shared resources, and this does suggest a constructive coming together of two parties, you know, in order to accomplish something that could have a material kind of benefit to both parties. So I think if this is what Puer is about here in your 10th and your 11th house, some kind of collaboration, then I think the key thing is just to assert your rights and to make sure that you get what you deserve when it comes to contractual negotiations and agreements. But I do see that is more than likely going to happen, given that we have got this move here from Cancer, which is about restrictions and kind of a reduction of some kind. So say, for example, a reduction in work hours or a reduction in negative habits, for example. And then we've got the corresponding bounce into from Saturn into Jupiter energy, which is really positive and expansive. So it's almost like you do the work, you cut back on what is no longer serving you, you say no to what you don't want in your life, which may have something to do with this area here, these karmic lessons that are happening in your 5th house. And then in comes this wonderful positive energy that you've been working on generating, which, as I say, is all about gain. It's kind of like karmic rewards for lessons learned and for effort that's put in. It's kind of like that 6 of coins energy in the tarot, where you kind of reap what you sow. So this is kind of good karma now, kind of you're being rewarded almost for kind of your efforts in the past. And then, as I say, you've got Fortuna Minor as your outcome, extremely positive, positive shifts, help from higher ups, protection from those who are in positions of power. So I really feel as though, you know, this is kind of momentum and fresh starts happening for you when it comes to career and success, fame, and so on. So overall, Aquarius, fantastic reading, I have to say. Very, very positive. Really happy for you. You've obviously put in the work over the last couple of months, and I think you're going to sort of reap the rewards in the next couple of weeks during this waxing moon cycle. So enjoy, and let me know how it's resonated in the comments. If you've liked this reading, do hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram or Facebook for more daily astro insights on the cosmic weather. But with that said, I'm wishing you all the best, and I'll catch you again in a couple of weeks.